And this is Amanda.
And it's Heather, and we're back talking about how we followed and pursued our dreams.
We're talking about Jorbs.
To do comedy in New York.
It was hilarious.
And then we did comedy in New York, and it turns out it was not our dream job, leaving us broken and alone. No, leaving us incredibly confused, which is how most people end up at an ayahuasca retreat.
Absolutely. So you were listening to part 2 of our podcast on dream jobs. And coming up in the next few weeks, we're also going to be, something we love to do is interview people who are pursuing their dream job and kind of asking them what their life is like and how they've built it and the struggles they went through. And, you know, the fancy word is entrepreneur, which I don't necessarily call myself. It sounds more like you have like a shit ton of money if you say you're an entrepreneur. Whereas I'm just like, I work for myself. I work independently. I don't know. It's funny, different people, how I'll describe that to them. Like today I do classes, I teach improv and meditation classes at WeWork. And so I was emailing the community manager, and she's like, what's your schedule like? And I was like, okay, this is an interesting way to say this, because right now I have a flexible schedule. But when I tell someone sometimes, I'm like, I don't know, I'm just having an open schedule. Like, it sounds like I'm doing nothing.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I'm independently working on various projects this summer. I have a flexible schedule. However, I do have times that are blocked out. So, instead of being like, well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm a very busy schedule. But some people I do want to say.
It depends who you're talking to.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It depends on who you're talking to. So today, guys, we are going to actually tell you what happened after kind of our two dreams crumbled in New York. One was New York, and the other was that we were going to really, honestly, when I moved there, was going to pursue that pretty much, I thought, for the rest of my life.
I saw myself writing on, like, The Daily Show. Cast. Yeah,
like, right.
That's where I thought it was going to be. Like, if I could write for Key and Peele or just even sit in the room and serve them coffee, like, that was going to be the apex of my life.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me.
So, yeah.
We had a little bit of a breakdown.
And we quit our jobs, as we do when we don't feel good at all. Because why stick around and try to grind something out that doesn't go away?
Right, you're not trying to. This is something we've been lucky to have, and through bravely kind of, making changes consistently over the years. I don't take it lightly when I tell people that I've moved around a lot and that I've had all these different jobs and I've traveled and I've come back, because to some people, they've never done that. They're just like, I've never, or they're like, I've quit a job once. Some people have never. Or
like they've transferred.
Yeah.
Or they haven't moved yet. We're still in our mid-30s, so we do know a lot of people that have maybe been working the same job.
Yeah, or one or two,
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
So I definitely don't take it lightly, but to say that, we follow our feelings, but we do follow our feelings. And in this deep way where we have a lot of practices that tune us into our feelings. So it's not just like a flighty, like, I don't feel good, and then we leave. It's not, it's
foot hurts.
My foot hurts. They're much deeper callings. And I think a lot of it comes from, I think, Heather, you'd agree, is we understand that this life is playful, and it's not so
like, it
serious.
Doesn't have to be serious.
It doesn't.
And no one's really working.
There's
to
no
an end.
consequences, really.
I'm not very motivated by money. I'm motivated by the experiences I have in my life. I want to have an interesting time, or, I don't want my body to ache at the end of a long restaurant shift. I don't want my body to ache at the end of a desk sitting. That's important for me to feel good. My dad already knows I'm a, as he would say, a traveling gypsy. So there's no one to impress by staying in a job I don't like. I don't have children. I'm just supporting me. So I know that's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah, but it's like you say, we felt a calling, but I felt like just a not calling. I felt like this job wasn't inspiring me, and it didn't feel good to go. And I hated dragging myself out of my house every day to work at a job. For what? I kept asking, why am I doing this? For rent money? Really, Heather? For rent money? I wasn't doing anything fun. I was working all the time. I wasn't inspired. I'm like, is this my life?
Yeah.
And
it's like rent, food, work.
I had to end it. Because you know what? When you end something that you don't like, and all of a sudden you're out there cooking in the sun, with rent due and with needing to get food in the fridge, you get real creative. You get
Yeah.
real creative. You start thinking about what you like, because now you're like, well, fine then. If I quit this, now I can do anything.
Yeah.
Now what am I gonna do?
And opportunities, and if you stay positive through that,
If you stay
huge
excited through that,
things.
if you start
Yeah.
talking to people, if you put it out
What are people
there.
doing? What are people doing here? What are my friends up
Okay,
to?
well, I
Like,
like,
what do I like?
drawing. Who do I know that draws? Well, I like this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It opens it like forces you to open doors that you were just kind of like pedaling along and not paying attention
Or
to.
that you were purposefully closing to stay in a shitty job.
Yeah.
Because God forbid you're in a shitty job and you start thinking about what you want to do, and then you think about how you don't want to be there, and a lot of people aren't ballsy enough to walk that road and say, well,
No,
like, if I don't like
scary.
this, what do I like? What is my dream? Why
It's
do I have
it's
to
and
do
that's
this?
something we've realized recently is a lot of times we will, because this is a passion of ours, is like our dream job, our dream life, my dream schedule, my dream city, my dream everything. And so to us, asking someone, at least to me, I know, like if I ask someone, just kind of like, with no whole in a dream world, no holds barred, everything, you have all the opportunities, like what's your dream? And some people, you think they're going to know it, right? You think
Right.
they're going to be like this,
Yes.
and this, and here and there.
Yes.
And then a lot of times I go like, well, yeah, I guess, probably like something with coding, probably. And they
And
kind
you're
of just
like,
say
oh, that's
something
your
they're
job.
studying.
That's your job. You know what I mean? So, like, you don't have, like, is the current job you're working at your dream?
Yeah.
Or are you doing your dream in a variation and you maybe want to do more or whatever?
Right.
It's so funny because since I was a kid, I've always had a dream job. I've just always had a dream job, whether it was a monkey trainer or a ballerina or an ice skater.
Yeah.
Like even if it's something I couldn't do, I knew a job in the world that, like, if I could have it instantly, I can tell you.
Yeah. That's what dreams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
the whole point of
Like
dreaming.
radio personality, like
Huge.
anything.
Well, this is one of
This
them.
is a dream
You guys
job.
you're in the middle of us
You're
having our dream job.
participating in a dream job. And
Yeah.
another dream job is like talking to Amanda all the time. Yeah, we're gonna build that.
Come on, man.
It's so funny because
So
our
many
dream at the
times.
time in New York when we quit our job, what we were forced to admit, the deep truth that came up was that we wanted to be by pools and water.
Oh yeah.
There's water.
Mhm.
There's water. We need water.
That's all I
we
could
need
think about.
ocean.
I
we
was
need
so deep that's all I could
pools,
imagine.
We need, like, nature.
Nature.
And
Yeah.
we quit our jobs without knowing how we were going to get it right. And our rent in New York, creeping up on $3,000 a month.
Oh,
it was big. For the tiniest apartment,
300
did see,
like 10 square feet.
but it was pretty much in the coolest part of the coolest neighborhood. So
yeah, we got
it was
lucky.
worth it.
But sometimes, like, I think that's a good point you make, is that sometimes when you're kind of entrenched and you're not feeling inspired and you're in maybe a lower place energetically and you're just like, fuck, sometimes all you can dream about is one thing. You're like,
Yeah.
I like pools. I like
Right.
water. Right? You're
Right.
like, I don't know, fuck, I just miss
my
water.
legs hurt. I wouldn't mind
Something,
sitting down.
right? Yeah.
Like.
And start there, and like then just keep kind of spitballing, and then so
Right.
we went to the ocean, and okay, what did we like about there? Okay, we had some freedom.
Like, just
it
follow
inspired
the
me.
inkling, right?
Mhm.
Like, so the minute we had the thought, which is like an intention, like we intend to get to nature and water somehow. We quit our jobs. The next day, our friend calls us, and she goes, "I got a job out in Montauk. I'm managing this restaurant. It comes with a house for the summer. Got an extra room. Do you bitches want to come out?"
Yeah.
It happened like that.
And these things happen to so many people if you pay attention to it. If,
Right.
like you sometimes there's so much energy behind like being like, all I want is this. If you say it almost like in a positive way, not like I don't want to work at a restaurant. I don't want to. If you say I do,
say
like
what
I
you
do
want.
want water. I do want beach. That's
And
all we knew.
And you make an action, dude. We put our
non-money where our giant mouths were.
Right. We put our where giant mouths were.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right.
Let's go. And we did, and I mean, like we said, this was a time when I think a lot of people, of course, in your 30s are a big time of transition when there's, some people are having the careers and some people are having the kids, and you're like, what am I doing? And so, like we've talked about in other episodes, both at different times, but we ended up going to Gaia Sagrada, and we did the journey and did the, which again was another shaping of a dream that I had no clue. Couldn't have told you 3 years ago that I had a dream to build communities around plant medicine and healing.
But that's what dream jobs are. They're a collection of all the best times you've had in your life and the times you felt most satisfied and excited and fulfilled. It's a collection of them. There might not be a specific one, but you walk the paths of the things that you love doing, and you just see what like blossoms around that, and you tell people about them, and you
Mm-hmm.
generate your excitement about them, and things just kind of happen that way. You listen to conversations differently when you start telling yourself, I love working with building things, and all of a sudden it seems like all the little magazine articles and people in your life that
Mm-hmm.
build things float around because you're looking for it. Once you know what you're looking for, you can find it.
I
If you
know.
don't know what the hell you want,
Ooh,
how you gonna find
that's
it?
huge.
It's
And
like
that
you
was
really
me for
gotta know what you
so
like.
many
And I'm not even
years.
saying dream job because that can really flat out stop people in their tracks and they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to dream. But like, what do you just fucking like doing?
Period.
And you know
Ever.
what? A lot of people, it might be computing. Badass. So if you know that, what's the best situation then?
What do you
What does
really
it
want to
look
make
like?
with
What do you
that?
want to make with
Yeah.
computers?
Right.
Absolutely.
And
What do you want to
yeah, the
design?
first inkling of my dream
Absolutely.
job is when I was doing in my 20s and like 20s and 30s, every once in a while you'd take like an online quiz of like, what's your career path? Or, what type of personality are you? Or what's your in church they would be like your gifts, like
Mm-hmm.
discover, like everyone wants to discover these things. And all I wanted to be like, you are going to be a corporate sales director of this. Like I wanted to just
Yeah.
write out for me like the thing, here's how you get it, whatever. And mostly it came out with like, oh, you like talking.
Ah,
That was what mine ever was. I was
well,
like, yeah, I
cool.
and I was like, that's how I started. So I was like talking on stage, talking in our
Yeah. Yes.
shows.
Oh, there you
I do.
go.
I love
Right.
the feeling of dialogue with someone or multiple
Mm-hmm.
people at the house parties we used to have. My favorite thing, groups of people. These people are talking about this. These people, ooh, what's this new group talking about? That's what I love doing, and it brings up ideas and passions, and that's what I love. And I was like, how the fuck do I turn talking into a job? Right? That
About
was
being
my
like a
frustration.
motivational speaker.
Or just or trying to like instantly, and this is what happens with I think dreams is like I tried to instantly monetize it, right? I'm like
Right.
talking in
Oh,
this,
big
talking, and then
time.
a business
But how do I
talking,
turn
and
it into
yeah,
a
talking at
paycheck?
corporate events, talking at
You go
no.
with the things that are around, that are in your world.
Yeah,
And if you don't have an expanded enough world to know all the jobs that could go into the thing,
yeah.
then you would
You
think you
just
only
do
have
the
a few
next one. You
options.
do the next logical step. I love restaurants because
Next
I get to
logical
talk to
step,
people
because
all
it's
night.
talking.
It is. That's exactly what I get to sales, talking
There
to
you
people
go.
all the time.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Those are aspects I like, but then there's all these other aspects I don't. So that actually brings us to talking to you guys about the Buena Vida
Hmm.
and what our dream now that we have at this moment in time in 2017 for this summer,
Right.
what right now has manifested as our dream.
Yeah.
Um, it's what we discovered is Heather and I like being together. We love the energy that we
We probably
have.
just like talking.
We love it.
Even when we don't live in the same city, the best part of it is like if I can talk to you, I'm
Yeah.
like golden.
Yeah.
Our energy together grows
It
when
does.
we're in the zone.
And you're the
Comedically,
funniest person I've ever
you're the
met.
funniest person I've ever met. And I love you.
I know.
And we also have for a long time been planning pretty incredible events, and
Yeah.
we don't give ourselves enough credit. But even in our 20s, we did this house party series for 2 years that just blew up, dude. We knew the hottest bands
Yeah.
and the hottest DJs, and we put them in a sweaty little basement in our house in San Diego, and it blew up, and it was
And
awesome.
created a friendly, warm community
Exciting and
vibe.
interesting
And we
setting.
created them. And it was like
Created them.
beautiful posters
Highly
designed by our friend
curated, and I hate the
Pedro.
word curated, but
Yeah,
they
they were.
were.
They absolutely
It's
were.
always a theme, and then we find like my favorite one is our circus one, and we had popcorn popping in an old fashioned popper, and
And
we
we were
had a
dressed
sword
in
swallower, and we told people to come to the party kind of dressed like all
something
costumes. We love
circusy.
costumes.
Love costumes.
So it was a no brainer that planning events, and even when we went to Montauk, we didn't sit on our butts. We decided to plan a meditation retreat,
Mm-hmm.
and so this summer we were like, well, let's throw an event.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do a retreat again because the first one went awesome.
And now that they've blossomed into something
Yeah.
even bigger, and we've taken what we've learned between that time, which was was it 2 summers ago, Montauk? Yeah,
Oh
two
my
summers
gosh.
ago, and now, which is that we've been able to study kind of the benefits and the beauty in plant medicine and
Mm-hmm.
incorporating that into everything
Meditation
we
and
love, which is
spirituality.
talking, love,
Yeah, and events.
meditation, and an event.
Yeah, it's been all the things that have gravitated towards us, right? Like, two years ago, I knew like about The Secret, which I was cynical about.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a little bit about meditation, as much as I think the average person knew.
Yeah.
which was like, oh, it makes you calm, and Buddhists do it. I really knew nothing.
Yeah.
And then after we did that first retreat, that kind of skyrocketed me in this world. Then I went to Gaia Sagrada, skyrocketed me in this world. Then I traveled around and went to all these retreats. So it kind of just came to me as how it feels. Like it just became my world. Like I walked into it, and and now I'm in it. And it's been so fun to take the things that I have been doing for years, and we've been good at for years, just talking at events and building community. And do this too. Like just put them together.
And do this too.
Yeah.
And people and doing it in a way where people know us and they're like, you guys are pretty irreverent and you are silly and you don't take life too seriously. You're not. You guys have issues.
Yeah.
But we're like, yes. And so we didn't get into this healing world, and this is something that is very much just like any subculture. Every subculture has their funny things about them, but in the healing world, it can look like you have to be this certain like perfect person, or you have to like reach this master guru level or whatever before you can be it. Oh, you have to talk like this.
If you don't talk like this, the spirit doesn't come.
No, because you have like meditation and yoga.
Murmuring is actually very spiritual.
It is. You guys, we're just gonna go ahead and
loud.
Yeah, come on, man.
We say shit, and you know what? Our lives.
We actually just say shit a lot.
We say shit a lot.
Yeah.
But we're these bubbly, loud, non-perfect, boisterous women that love talking about meditation and love talking plant medicine and are psychonauts. It's like there's astronauts and there's people that explore the rooms of the mind and like what it can do and who we are. This like soul
human
gazing,
consciousness.
Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I not like? What would my dream job be? Where does Heather travel? What type of house does she like? Who does she hang out with and why? Who is she in her family? Then you start getting into this world where you want to know yourself more and you want to know how the world works more, but also you want to enjoy it at a high level. You want to enjoy it at this rich level where you're in it and you taste your food and you listen to the conversations you're having and you see the trees outside your door and you want it to be this richer experience. And we found that this world gave us that. It like took our lives and amplified it by a million.
Majorly.
Like more fun, more taste, more textures, more smells now coming at you and more smells. And it made it way more fun. And all we were doing was, taking a few minutes in the morning to get still and reading a lot. Oh God, we read a lot.
Yeah.
And we know a lot.
And just and the plants like will skyrocket.
And the plants.
These plants.
Let's talk about these plants for a second. So people are like, oh, plant medicine, what's plant medicine? Okay, there's like putting aloe on your body and taking a echinacea, right? There's that
herbs,
plant medicine.
Everything.
And it's endless. And it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Right.
Then there's ingesting a plant.
Psychoactive substance.
A psychoactive substance.
Very different.
Some of them aren't even psychoactive. But we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
And then having it... God, how do you even explain this? This is why this work is hilarious.
Well, the way that our teacher, Christine, would explain it is she's like, it's like 10 years of therapy in a night. And the reason it is because these plants have the ability to crack open parts of your brain. And all of these things in the neuroscience field are very, very new in the last few years. Like, how do thoughts happen? How do they occur? How do these patterns happen? Like, can we change them? What's written in our DNA? Like, what are these things that we can change? And these plants, now that thank God that, scientists are actually having funding to study, mushrooms and even and MDMA and ketamine, all these things. Like, what do they do to the human mind? What do they do to the body? Why have so many people over the years responded with such intense, long-lasting, positive psychological results changes
in their lives?
What does it do?
That was for me, and when ayahuasca was getting bigger and bigger, and people were talking about it, and a lot of it is about improvement of mindset and overall well-being. That really struck me. There's plant medicines that help with addiction. There's plant medicine, you know what I mean? There's pills that can do all sorts of things. But people were taking these to overcome pain, raise vibration, and feel better in general.
Yeah.
Right? That totally drew me in.
And to just clean out. Do you just want to physically and mentally clean out all the old garbage? Sometimes you don't know. You're like, what is holding me back? What pattern? I don't even know. And sometimes you don't have to look at all of it. Right. That was another thing is we're here, at this retreat, it was we're here to throw the garbage out, but we're not going to sit and look at every piece of garbage and what was that? And that was from there. And yeah, there's certain big themes you need to talk through, but there's other ones you don't.
And that's true. When you do plant medicine, it cleans. Well, ayahuasca, namely, it's a cleaning plant,
Yeah.
and it you're totally right. Like you purge and you purge from both ends,
Yep.
and the stuff that comes out right away is just surface stuff. How many things have we taken in? We've heard shit talking about someone, or we've watched
Oh
too
my
many episodes of Law and Order, and
God.
like violence
Commercials,
and hate and
billboards,
news and everywhere.
news.
That stuff enters your psyche, and you start thinking it's you, and you make decisions, and you have perceptions based on these things that aren't
Right.
even you. Oh, the things that would come up. I'm like, I don't think that, but I did, because
Yeah.
I'd heard it enough, dude.
Uh-huh.
I'd heard it enough about what my body should look like,
Right.
about how I should feel about a certain race, good and bad, dude.
I know.
I'm like, dang.
Those are just I mean, that's why this is like Terrence McKenna, who's one of my favorite teachers. Is he's like make your own culture.
Yeah.
He was extreme. He was like, turn off the TV, turn off the news, nothing, absolutely nothing. Make it yourself, because all of that stuff is just bullshit programming, good, bad, and otherwise.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize as you were starting to unfold these, and you're like, who and when, and it's not all these things that we think are written in like stone as truth, right? Like the ideal woman is blonde, blue eyes, this height, not too tall, not
Like,
too
this
short,
is
and
right.
this is
Now,
right.
this is,
and then there's variations that are
and then
also
there's these
cool,
beautiful,
interesting
subsets
variations
of women. And there's pretty Asian ones, and there's great black ones. But this is, we all know this is standard,
This is the
right?
standard.
This is the standard. We all believe that.
Of course we do,
There's
because
parts
how
of
many
us that absolutely
trillions of
believe
times
that.
have we seen it? Oh, and then they try to reinforce it with like, well, babies like blondes.
The
Which
science
ones do
says
babies hate? Babies hate black,
hate
curly
dark
hair.
people.
New study says babies don't like shit. Fuck off with
What's so
this.
funny is that blonde-haired boys is rare, so like there's more people. So like familiarity-wise,
Mm-hmm.
it would be, if we're trying to think of the standard woman, a brown person.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
That's standard.
It's kind of like
if we're going with math.
when McLovin in Superbad, they're like, dude, he's like, yeah, it was between McLovin and Muhammad. He's like, why was it between McLovin and Muhammad? He's like, why wouldn't you just pick a regular name like James or Terry? And he's like, dude, Muhammad's the most popular name in the world, idiot. And you're like, yeah. It's like, okay, yeah. The majority of people have dark skin, and the majority of people are like this height, and we have these. I mean, it's just I don't even think you could possibly mathematically calculate the number of visual, auditory, and like just influences that you have on let's say in 10 years of adulthood.
Yeah.
How could you ever even know how much you got? And meanwhile, you have these shamans who have grown up in like the jungle.
Right.
Think of how much fewer, and they're still using these plants to clean themselves out, of course, but you get these Westerners in here, and that's why some of the shamans would be like, sometimes they'd look at people and be like, I don't even know how to fucking help you, because there's so many layers of
what you think you have to be and look like and all these other things.
How could you possibly be happy?
To take a plant medicine and see your thoughts and detached from you and be able to go, nah, man, you can take that one out. Take this. Hell no, I don't need this. And the plant will just straight remove the ones it knows are not you. And then you can sit with the bigger ones where it's like you're presented with a choice to move forward with a new thought or stick around in the old thought. And I got to say, sticking around in an old thought don't feel good.
Nope.
Also, moving into the new thought takes some non-feeling work too. So like it's like growing into a new skin. Sometimes you see the thing and it looks kind of scary, and you don't go towards it because that's how it feels to move into a new space. Anything to get outside. We always laugh because we say like, oh, getting outside of your comfort zone sucks. It's because it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel
I forget
good.
that every day.
Yeah. And it's funny.
Outside your comfort zone sucks.
And ayahuasca shows up as like a hole you have to jump into, like a big black
or
hole,
a monster that's chasing
or
you.
a door you have to walk through that's scary, or turning out a light and being in a room. And they all say this. I love this about people have seen monsters, and they go up and you touch them, you smile at them, you engage with them, you look at your deepest fear. You look at your deepest, darkest fear. That's what that represents. And you go, well, what's the worst case scenario here?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, maybe I look it in the eye and I'm not so afraid. Maybe I'll be fine. And they say this monster just becomes a sheet in the wind, and it's one-dimensional and it just blows away. And that symbolically, when you're on a plant medicine ceremony, is you saying, I want the next step. I can look at my deepest fear and walk forward into like a new space. And I feel protected. Yeah. I feel like I got through something.
I made
a choice to try something new and to vote for myself. and to not feel so fearful.
And to get rid of these old patterns that sometimes a lot of times we become so used to them, because negative or positive, if we've had a pattern going on long enough, it just becomes part of your identity and part of who you are. So there would be people I especially remember with depression and anxiety specifically, people who had come there to work on, people, a lot of people, like there was, um, like with me, there was parts of like periods of depression, I would say, or periods of anxiety, and that was kind of like sprinkled throughout my decision. But then there were some people who, like, their first word, their only word was like, I am constantly depressed or I'm constantly anxious, like that sort of thing. So those people I noticed had such a strong identity with like,
Yeah.
I am depressed.
Yeah.
I am depressed.
That's who I am.
That's who I am.
Right.
I always have been. No matter what I do, I am. I was built this way. It's in my blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, really, like, I remember, like, those were some of the tougher cases, because the shamans would ask them, like, do you want to not be? And they didn't always, because they're like, who am I if I'm not this? So while they may seem, it's like a negative thing, like to have, like a deep depression your whole life, we would say, like, that's probably not the best thing. It's so part of your identity, and you're like, I don't even know who is John not depressed.
If I'm not depressed, what
what if it goes away? What would I be?
And then you start, because you're like, well, okay, well, let me explain, and let me tell you I am depressed.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you all the reasons.
Explain all these things.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, those are the past. They're not operating right now. So in this moment,
what would it look like if you weren't?
What would it look like if you weren't depressed? And people can't.
They haven't taken a moment to just even visualize.
Visualize it.
What would a person who isn't
depressed look like? And plant medicines can do that too. It can make it a little easier to visualize certain things. It can also make it kind of picturize what the state you're in.
Yeah.
In a little hole.
And it's so funny, even the things that we do externally that come out. I remember there was a girl who, she was at one of the retreats I was working at, and she was really beautiful, maybe like 25 years old, and she had like, she wore a lot of black pants and black lace, and just that was her style, and her hair was gray, like that popular kind of, like the pastel silver gray, right? Yeah, super popular. And when she was sitting in front of the shaman, and he's like, look at you. He's like, you wear the colors of death. Yeah. You wear black and your hair is gray. You look like you're dead. And, at first, like, she kind of laughed, like, oh, well, this is just my style. And he's like, this means a lot. Like, this is what you choose to present to the world. Like this, and that's what ended up happening, is that she was kind of suicidal, and that she, she was kind of obsessed with death, and that was coming out. And, I mean, even just the stuff like that we don't even necessarily see. We're like, no, black's cool, and like the silver hair's cool right now.
And the people that we meet, and the people around us, and what we do in our spare time, like these are all manifestations of patterns, right? Yeah. Like, you go to the gym enough, you have a body that looks like that. You don't go to the gym, you eat this thing, it looks like this. You don't eat this thing. You know what I mean? Like, our life is a product of the things we do. And a lot of times you just don't see them. Yeah. And you don't always think about the products of the way you think.
No.
There's the doing, and then there's the thinking, and what it attracts around you, and what it kind of builds around you, and what it feels like if you're a negative person or a suicidal person, if you're a happy-dappy ass person. Right. What I love about both meditating, psychonauting, plant medicines, is you are given a choice about how to think, and people don't think about that enough. There is if there's no right or wrong, if there's no, standard of living of the earth, of planet Earth for all people, then you do get to have a choice about what you think is right or wrong, or how you want to think about something. If you want to think that your life is sad and dark and lame, you absolutely can. Mm-hmm. People choose it more often than not.
I know.
If you want to think that it's awesome, or has even hope or potential to be good, you can think that too. And when people are sitting there in the ceremony and they're given that choice, it's not everybody that takes a new, refreshed stance. No. People hang on so tight to their lives. They want to give so many reasons that they have to stay in a pit. They want to give so many reasons. I was hurt. I was abused. And that is their identity. And it's like, you can become a new person in this moment with this choice. A conscious choice to be something different. And I would love when the shamans, if people couldn't get out of their head about that new way of thinking, he said, then change your whole self. Yep. You buy a new wardrobe, you cut your hair, you shave your beard, you get out there, and you just become someone new.
Just become it.
Yeah. I love that. I moved a lot as a kid, and I always think, like, I was doing that a lot.
Right.
You know, I got to become someone new. There's people that have grown up in the same town and the same thing, and you know, if you're Sally Mae with pimples and you're boring in high school, you think you got to be that person, and maybe your life has formed kind of boring around you, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe not as fabulous as you inside really feel like it could be. But
Yeah.
you're that woman, so that's who
Well,
I am in this
that's who I
town.
am.
And if I try to be anything else in this town, then everyone's gonna freak out. And there already is a fabulous person. I can't be her, you know.
And you know what's funny? People do freak out. I'll tell you that much. When you
Oh.
start to change, people freak out
Flip
because
their lid.
we're all mirrors for each other, right? So anytime you change, people start they just mirror
They
their
immediately
shit
take
all
it
over
personal.
you.
They immediately take it
Mhm.
personal. You go, you think you're better than me. It's
Right.
one of those things.
Oh, really? Are you some sort of
you
a,
think you
are
can
you
just
some
go
sort of a plant
and
woo-woo
work outside
goddess?
the bounds?
What are you some sort of a you some sort of a shaman now, huh?
You some sort of spiritual
goo goo woo woo?
goo
Huh?
goo woo woo.
What do you
What,
think
now
you
I gotta eat rabbit food around you.
Yeah, what? No.
What? No.
Are you am I praying? Or you be sitting in
Let
silence?
me-
Oh, that's
let
real
me- let me-
productive. Yeah.
Let me put a little
What,
dot
you
on my
just
forehead.
sit on a mountain and do
You
nothing?
sit on a mountain.
Oh,
Does
that's
it say
great.
in alms?
You hippie
What,
idiot.
look at her.
You idiot. What are you doing as a productive member of society?
Right. What are you adding?
What are you adding to the world? Oh, nothing. You
Because I
just
know what I'm
sitting there
adding. I'm busting out here, busting my
busting
ass.
my ass, and you're
9 to 5.
doing nothing.
Correct me. 8 to 6.
Uh,
8 to 6 now.
On a
They
good
got
day.
me in there.
On a good day. On a good day.
And you're
Yeah.
sitting over
You
here.
know what? Yeah, my boss
And you're
sucks.
sitting over here on a
Yeah, my life
toadstool.
sucks.
You know, trying to manifest my reality. Yes, true.
Yes,
But
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? You get to a point where you're like, I'm not going to apologize for any of this. My life is dope.
because I'm happy. You can't, you know what? Once you're truly happy and people know it, they can't
Say
fight ya.
anything. I know. Because you're not trying to sell anything.
I'm
You're not, there is no magic thing.
It's not a thing I'm doing. It's not a diet. It's not a CrossFit program. I'm really just like thinking that my life is awesome, and I have faked it in certain parts of this journey 100%. And some days I still do.
Yeah, of course.
I really have to make the choice. It's not like you make the choice in one ayahuasca ceremony and you never have to decide again if you want to wake up and have a great day. It actually, you are presented with that more often because you're conscious of the fact
and in deeper ways
that you that you have this power and this beauty to choose how you want to feel.
And our friend Kate Ryan was saying last night, she's like, it's never over. The work is never done.
It's never done.
You're always going to be healing some other layer and some other something, and for some other people.
Or getting to know another layer. Now that I have so much compassion for my life and who I am, I'm finding that it's a little easier for me to approach this darker side of me, and this, it's called, Carl Jung would call it the shadow side, that totally exists. Like, we are 360-degree people. We're fully dimensional. There's no perfection in a human. There's just different combinations of good, bad, and ugly. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Just different combos, different levels.
It's been awesome to get to know myself and see those sides. It's a little easier to giggle about them. It wasn't before. And I'm still working through some ones and discovering more awesome stuff about myself in the process, too. It's not all like, I'm so shitty. No, it's just like, oh, here's me. Like, whoa, Heather's like, there's a lot going on with this.
There's a lot going on.
You know?
But I'll tell you, one thing that stops you from being able to do any of this work, being obsessed with your fucking job and your stupid shit. Yeah. I hate to say it, man. I'm just going to be honest. Like, people hear this stuff and they're like, oh, I couldn't get away. Oh, I couldn't, I couldn't leave.
I gotta pay a bill. I
would. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. And honest people, when they hear this, would be like, damn, that sounds scary. To go away for 12 days and sit in the mountains and drink crazy shit and sit in front of shamans at a fire and pour your heart out. They're like, that sounds terrifying. And I'm like, it can be.
Tough questions.
It can be. Most people, if we're like, since we're in this world, it seems like more probably than it is. Most people in their lives, even given the free chance, we'll take care of your kids, we'll take care of your house, your mortgage, just go, wouldn't not do this.
To Ecuador and sit at Gaia Sagrada.
Figure out who you are, sit with yourself for 12
and figure out and sit with the choice of, do you want what you've had this time, what you flew away from, or do you want to go back there and live a completely different life? Oh, yeah. And people have come and not even been able to do it.
And it's a lot of it for me, like, it was the fear of, like, what if I have this one all the time still. The fear of getting it wrong. The fear of, like, this was all just a joke, and I'm really just an idiot, and I have to just do the stupid job I didn't want.
Like, this is just the next little program, and I'm going to come back, and it's all going to be the same.
It's all going to fall
away. Or I'm going to get there, and this plant medicine is going to be like, no, that's your life. Go back to, no, you had it right, and, you're depressed, and you work in an office. That's just, what you chose.
Yeah. But I think something that all of these plants have in common is, like, there's, different ones have different histories and different spirits.
Jobs and different spirits.
They have different, they do, and they operate in different ways, but it's talking to people over the years and in different cultures about like what are kind of the baseline messages or lessons that most people walk away with, right? And it's
Yeah.
that you're taking your fucking life too seriously. Like
Yeah.
it's like the point of life is life. Like
Right.
Santiago used to be like, he's like, look at the nature. He's like, the
And
point of
love.
life is life
And loving
and
life.
love, and that's it.
It's it.
That's it. And even my
And if you
first
don't
retreat, they were
love
like,
it,
it's
what
love,
are
it's
you
love.
doing?
I'm like, what does that mean? What does that
Right.
mean? Love. What is that? And it becomes with time and knowing it's just this endless source. It only expands. There's always more. It's ever abundant, and it's creative power. It's the power to do anything you want is love. That's what it is. It's understanding. It's understanding that we're connected, which is another thing that these plants all teach you. Probably the number one thing anyone who's ever taken a psychedelic is they're like, okay, the connection.
The connection of us
I get
to
it.
plants, earth, and each
other. Our connection is, and you first think you're like, we're all connected, and you don't even that. You're like, not quite sure what that means, but
plant medicines give you the knowing of that, the insight into what it even feels like, and sometimes what it looks like.
Yeah, sometimes what it looks like.
And then you start seeing that if you hate life, you hate yourself. If you hate yourself, you hate life.
And if you hate someone else, you hate yourself.
Someone else,
big time.
Big time. And if you
the
hate
more you hate
nature,
someone else,
if you hate your home, if you don't spend a lot of time there.
That's the age-old, like the age-old woo-woo term. What you resist persists. I saw this on a car today. You see this a lot right in Seattle. Like, resist this, resist Trump, resist that. And this person just had a sticker that said, resist!
Oh, they're everywhere.
Period.
They're everywhere.
Just be in a state.
Just be in a state
of resistance.
Of holding back that which you hate at all times.
Which means you're focused on what you hate. You think about what you hate.
You're ready.
You make lists of what you hate.
You know what you hate super well. You have to get to know
details.
it. I gotta dig deep into what I hate.
What am I resisting today?
Everything in my world's gotta be about this. I gotta be ready to resist. My whole world is what I don't want, what I don't want, what I don't want, what I don't want.
Guess what? You're only getting more of
into
that.
it.
There is no such thing as no. There's no such thing as resistance. It's what you focus on persists. Yeah. If you focus on things are shitty, things will be shitty. If you focus on that things are awesome, things will be awesome. I swear to God,
right.
I would.
If you focus on flowers, you know a ton about flowers. If you focus on shit, you know a ton about shit. Of course, where you put your focus is what your world becomes.
Yes, absolutely. And the more you do it, and the more you train yourself to do it, the more bigger
the momentum
it gets.
Builds, and the more your world crafts around you to support these ideas, right? So the more you think you're in danger, you'll start to feel in danger. You'll lock your doors. Your car. You know what I mean? The more you think that things are awesome, you seek out the evidence.
Yes.
I got good friends, man.
Yeah.
I have an apartment in a pretty good street. Like, man, I live in a great city.
Yeah. And it's not about lying to yourself. Like, I used to think it was like, you can't sit at the shitty job and be like, this job is great. I have a computer. You can find things, but you can't jump like that. Like the big, you can't jump from like hating your job, hating your life, hating your schedule to like, tomorrow I'm just going to like it all. No you way. Start smaller. For sure.
And lying to yourself makes it worse.
But the way, right. But then what you do is you just switch your fucking mind to something else and you go like, you know what? I like water. I like beaches. Beaches are fun. I like surfing. Yeah. I like the sand. Just start going to something else.
And that's why gratitude is massive. And it was kind of the number one disease of people that would come like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Just this apathy, this anxiety. I don't know what's wrong. Then you better start talking about what's right. Because you focus a lot on wrongness. And what's going right, dude? And then people start making these lists, and that's momentum when you start. The list keeps going, and it has to be cultivated. I think that's important too. It's like not everyone's born like I love this thing and this thing, like a little YouTube video. Where she's like, I love my Barbie, I love my thing. It has to be cultivated. It takes practice. It takes like waking up again. This choice to like see your life as great and live in a world that's a little bit brighter each and every day. To maybe list a few things that you like every day, to where if you feel in a fucking funk, you find one thing to kind of see if it could lift you out of it and walk that line, even the tiniest thing.
And if you, I mean, it's like impossible to be in a state of gratitude, like when you're making a list of things you're grateful for, or just appreciation, just being like, I appreciate this about life. You can't have fear during that time.
No.
It's impossible.
No.
While you're just appreciating and looking and appreciating, like there is no fear. It doesn't exist. Yeah. It's not there. And, you can, you have the choice, and I swear so many people, they don't think they do, and this is really powerful. You have the choice every day to wake up and read every goddamn thing that just happened with Trump and the his trials and the things and the things. Like
murders
you
and
could.
killings.
By the way,
and
there's infinite information.
infinite information.
Or you could do like I choose to do, and I'm like, if Trump knocks at my door, or if I have to join the fucking army on the street because like shit went down,
Right.
I'll be there.
Then
Other
I'll
than
start
that,
paying
not
attention.
paying attention.
Then I'll start paying attention.
If I
haven't
have
paid
to
attention
vote
this
on
whole
something
time.
with my knowledge, I will read about it and I will vote on it. Do you think that that means I have to read 10,000 articles a day about every single thing that's happening?
Way, news articles that lean towards horror, violence,
fear,
negativity. Fear.
Oh,
by the way,
danger.
Written in a perspective of someone I don't even know. I don't know whose parents this guy is. I don't know who his friends are. I don't know how he voted. I don't know anything about people giving me this information.
Yeah.
And you read it and you soak that in, and that becomes a reality.
Yeah.
You know, we have never lived in a time so peaceful, safe, accepting, diverse, opportunity, money,
ever in the planet,
ever in the world. You find that history page and you leave it in the comments if you can find a history page where it has been.
And by the way, I will leave the article that like on every statistical fact as far as like wartime opportunities, violence, and acceptance of diversity in this planet at this moment, right now in 2017, it is the safest and most free time for anyone to be alive.
Lovely time to be
and
alive.
Ask anyone on the street if they think that's true, and they'll be like, "This is the worst time. It's the worst in America."
Scientifically, it's the most beautiful time. We're doing it. You know, as a black woman, I can look at my parents' birth certificate and it says Negro. And I can look at my dad and his wife and know that, like, 30 years ago, they wouldn't be able to get married because they're of two different races. And I'm a woman and I can do what I want.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
It's good living. And that is a huge shift in the world for a lot of people to think that way. And that's proven. But somehow we've gotten in this world that's just growing more and more anxious because we're seeing so much more.
Yeah.
But you want to know what? Just because we're seeing it now doesn't mean a genocide wasn't broiling down in Cambodia and whole races of people weren't being wiped out through the 70s and 80s, dude.
Yeah.
They were just going in, just killing everybody.
Just
slaying people, and not in a fun Beyonce way, dude. Beyonce's
we're just seeing it more. We're just seeing it more, and it like that proves that.
And so then don't, if it makes you sad, see the good.
And it's not ignoring people. Like, it's putting your head in the sand. It's putting your head in your sand. I'm like,
no, it's happening.
You know. And by the way, tell me what reading 5 articles a day, or 20 articles a day, or 30 articles a day. Tell me what you are doing about that. Do you think that? Oh, well, I read them and I share them.
And I share them with
really?
people.
What else?
I put them on my, and I'm helping people become aware of violence. You're helping us focus on
the darkest
things about our world that we already know are happening.
Yeah.
I know murders happen. I know rapes go down. I know trafficking is happening. I know that nature sometimes can wipe out villages.
Yeah.
This is part of our world. There is a dark side to it. There is a shadow side to it. It's putting the focus on the beauty of this life.
Tell me all the beautiful stuff. I want to know. Tell me, make a list on your stores here that are like, you know, we accept you and this, and we're resisting Trump. And it's like, tell me something fucking beautiful about. We love Seattle. We love Seattle for this: mountains, lakes, diversity. Like, how about just like, what if you were to like what you love, only what you love. Every store tomorrow puts in a thing of like, here's at this store we love this. Right. We love donuts. We love all the bakers here. We love the food. We love the access to organic fruits and vegetables.
People talk about America, fuck America, and then you got Glacier National Park and Yosemite and frickin' beautiful
Joshua
land
Tree,
and
Moab,
Joshua Tree, just
craziness.
sitting there going,
"Hey guys,
excuse me." I don't know why it's a Spanish accent, but they're like, excuse me.
Well, Mexico's saying excuse me too.
It's
like, yeah, we got shit going down, but guess what? Dude, the majority of our people are hanging out.
There's a beautiful history and a dark part of history, like our country,
like every person and like everything.
This is one of the most beautiful lands ever.
The land itself is insane.
Oh,
America the Beautiful.
America the Beautiful.
And that's what I recommend people do if they're like, if you can't get out of this mindset and you're stuck in this trap of negativity and you're stuck in thinking. And I used to be in this way where like I really thought, I'm like, if I don't pay attention, then I'm putting my head in the sand and I'm just going to be some happy dappy woo woo person who all thinks about ponies and puppy dogs and ice cream. And what the fuck is good with that? That just makes me stupid. I used to feel that way.
Absolutely.
But it's like, you know what? Okay, if you can't get out of that, then the first step I would say is just go into nature where all you can see in every direction around you is nothing man-made. That is the first step.
Yeah.
Just walk, put your feet in the
out.
earth, look at trees, water, just at least, gosh, if you can, like twice a month, and realize how, and just start paying attention to how you feel there. Just how you feel. How do you feel in nature? What are the sounds? What thoughts come up? Like, how long does it take you to calm down?
How simple is it?
How simple is it?
Do you have to feel like you have to be somewhere else?
Do you have to figure it out? Do you figure out nature?
Yeah.
You can't, because figuring out uses your brain. There's nothing to figure out. It's like Eckhart Tolle says. He's like, no one ever says, that sunset is interesting. He's like, it's not interesting. It's interesting is of the mind.
Right.
You don't have to figure, I mean, and there are some people who I know actually in my life who everything is analytical. I have to compared to the sunset 4 nights ago,
and the green flash should be about 3, 2, 1. Didn't see it.
It's like you can't be in the present moment and just accept everything for what it
just
is.
Like you said, listing a list of 3 things in your miserable life that are awesome, and not sitting and giving a break to your brain for generating all this like negativity.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
That's why this is.
And you guys, if we can do it, this is one of those like if we can do it, you can do it. Saying 2 years ago that I was in New York, I mean, it feels like a lifetime that this shift has happened, because it can happen really rapidly. And there are things like meditation and things like being in nature. There's ways and practices that will make it happen. We'll cultivate
this mindset. It doesn't happen overnight. But
it can happen quickly.
It can happen quickly. And you get real uncomfortable thinking about crappy stuff.
Yeah.
It just like doesn't, and then your world
just
starts
don't
to be
listen.
happier around it, and you have people in your life,
and you draw different people to you too.
Awesome. Yeah. And want to like, be on the up and up.
Up. Okay, so at the end of this segment today, I like how our dream job, we just started this. This is we just get rapping sometimes, and like that is exactly what we're doing right now with the Buena Vida. Is we, in various ways, including classes and retreats and podcasts, we're just. I always joke with my dad. I'm like, sorry, Dad, I'm just busy elevating human consciousness.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's like, that's what it is. Like, we're,
thinking of new ways, old ways to think about new things. The consciousness has been around since it is life, and meditation has been around since the beginning of time, and all these things, but it just needs a dusting off and raising awareness for how it fits in our lives. Like, I always joke, like, we're not Buddhists sitting in an ashram, but like, we're not, dude. And our brains are different. We have evolved beyond when a lot of these practices for cultivating stillness, mindfulness, appreciation, gratitude, they're a little harder to do. Yeah. Because of our attention spans.
They are. And people are looking for a dogma-free, religion-free, at least I was. Like, I'm like, it was just funny that Semi-Woo is the name of our podcast, because it's like, I didn't want the full woo-woo. I thought that in order to get these benefits that I had to, like, wear the certain clothes, go to all the things,
clothes, like,
go to the kirtans, whatever that is.
To Burning Man often.
Have more scarves. I don't know. Talk quieter. Go to the festivals. I really, and what's funny is all of that is external.
Hair.
I don't know. Yeah, just all these things. And you don't, because it's about cultivating a better, more positive, happy life, and how to do that, and how there is an infinite abundance of happiness and joy for everyone, but it starts with yourself. Yeah. And if you start trying to solve the world's problems without starting to solve your own problems, you're gonna just get frustrated, and it's not gonna work.
Pool of sadness, and then you're not gonna be effective.
No, that's what it is.
It's like, tune up your car and then take.
That's what we said. That's always like
you said.
Yeah, this self-care thing is like, imagine if you were going on a road trip and you're picking up 4 friends, and you are like, okay, well, I have to get there early because like they don't like when I'm late, and I have to like have room for everyone's space and everything, and meanwhile you didn't
check
put
tires.
You didn't check your oil, you have no gas, and you show up
and you don't have enough seats for everyone.
You show up and you're 10 minutes into the road trip, your car breaks down, and people are like, what the fuck? And you're like, well, I just was looking out for you guys, and I was just trying to take care of you guys' effort. And you're like, yeah, but
now we're all screwed.
Now we're all screwed, because now you're resentful and pissed off because you didn't take care of your shit.
If your car's tuned up and you're good to go and you got a few water bottles in there for everybody, it's a beautiful journey. You can help.
Right.
And this is not to say that you go inside and you look around and find out who you are for other people, but if you're somebody that's worried about everyone else all the time, then you better be tuned up.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to say, hey guys, I'm going to be there an hour late because my car's fucked up and I need time to get ready, and you can just wait. And that's what self-care is like, you know what, I can't go to this thing, I can't do this, I have to say no because it's not good for me. And whatever. Okay, so this is a part of our podcast where we take in questions from you guys. We're going to take a small little break and come back with 5 of our top questions that we get all the time.
Absolutely.
See you then.
Be like, okay, this is...
Yeah, so...
Okay.
Yeah, just take those off. So we'll slice it with that. Like, so it was funny about this podcast, like it always does. We were talking about our dream job, and you guys got to hear a little bit about really the essence of what we're doing beyond our dream job, which is our interest in human consciousness, awareness, the beauty of positivity, and spirituality.
How it works in our lives now.
And being semi-woo.
You know, we're not like balls deep in the shawls and the tie-dye, but we are in the spirituality and the workings of the mind and the self.
Yeah. And the way that I define spirituality now is just the human spirit. It's the same way that a lot of people who are not comfortable being like, oh, it's religion and spirituality is one thing. It's like, to me, there's all these different things that you talk about in life, and the spirit and the mind and the consciousness is just, that's what spirituality is to me.
Who we are as people. Like, why somebody
how we live our lives, how we get happy.
And someone's like an awesome graphic designer. Like, the who you are in your story.
And getting to know your own spirit, which is like, what is mine? What is my spirit's dream here in this world? You know, what am I going to do? And there's certain things we're super woo about, and you'll get into those, and you guys can, you'll hear it.
It's been fun.
It's been really fun.
After this, we'll actually have a different episode with the top 5 questions that people ask us when they hear about our lives, and that we like took all these leaps and quit these jobs to do our dream job. So check that out in a different episode.
Yes, and thank you guys for listening. Again, you can always send us an email at chopandblend@gmail.com. That's chop and blend at Gmail. Gmail stands for Google Mail. Someone asked me the other day. You can also text a question if you have a question or a comment about today's podcast, in addition to Amanda's phone at 949-456-4602.
Your creditor's going to come get you.
I know. Well, what are they going to take?
What are they going to take?
Like I always say.
Sorry.
Last but not least, our website, of course, is thebuenavida.net. That is the
Buena
Vida.net.
Don't you be hating on that .net, yo. The .com was like $1,500.
Ooh, .net is so hip and
.net's like cool. It's like,
com is commerce, and it's not commerce. It's like we're on the net, like the internet, like the World Wide Web,
like
the
honestly,
internet.
like .com is just like appropriate.
All right, guys, thanks. We could go on forever, so we love you.
We love you.
Bye.